The medical station floated quietly in the darkness between stars. It was a Talori station built for Talori patients, staffed by Talori doctors and nurses. They rarely saw other species here. When they did, it was usually a quick visit, a broken bone, a small cut. Nothing serious. Nurse Vela stood at her station and looked at the screen. A new patient was coming. She read the species name and felt her stomach turn cold. Human. She had never treated a human before. She had only seen them from far away, walking through space stations or sitting in cargo ships. They looked strange to her. 2 arms instead of 4, soft skin that changed color, eyes that moved too much. She had heard stories about them. Some said humans were weak and died easily. Others said humans were dangerous and impossible to kill. She did not know which stories were true. The doors opened and 2 Talori workers pushed a bed into the medical bay. On the bed was the human. He was awake, looking around the room with calm eyes. He had dark hair and a face that looked tired but not afraid. His arm was wrapped in a temporary bandage, and there was a small cut on his forehead. Vela walked toward him slowly. Her 4 hands were shaking a little, so she held them together behind her back. "Hello," she said. "I am Nurse Vela. I will take care of you tonight." The human looked at her and smiled. It was a small smile, but it made his face look friendly. "Hello, Nurse Vela," he said. "I am Kang Do-hyun, but you can call me Do-hyun. Thank you for helping me." His voice was calm and warm. Vela felt a little less nervous. "What happened to you?" she asked. "Cargo pod accident," Do-hyun said. "A box fell on my arm. Nothing too bad, but my ship's medical system told me to come here for a proper check." Vela nodded and looked at his arm. The bandage was tight, but she could see some blood had come through. She would need to clean it and wrap it again. "I will examine you now," she said. "Then I will connect you to our monitoring system. You will stay here tonight so we can watch your condition." "Sounds good," Do-hyun said. He lay back on the bed and closed his eyes for a moment. It's been a long day. Vela began her work. She unwrapped his arm carefully and looked at the wound. It was not deep, but human skin looked so thin and soft. She wondered how they survived with such weak covering. Talori skin was thick and tough. It did not cut easily. But human skin seemed to tear at the smallest touch. She cleaned the wound and wrapped it with fresh bandages. Then she checked the cut on his forehead. It was already closing. That surprised her. She had heard that humans healed slowly, but this wound was almost done healing already. "Your head wound is closing fast," she said. Do-hyun opened his eyes and touched his forehead. "Oh, that. Yeah, small cuts heal quick. It's the big stuff that takes time." Vela did not fully understand, but she nodded anyway. She picked up the monitoring patches and began attaching them to his body. She put one on his chest to measure his heart, one on his neck to measure his blood, one on his stomach to measure his temperature, and one on his leg to measure his movement. Do-hyun watched her work with curious eyes. "You have 4 arms," he said. "That must be useful." Vela looked at her hands. She had never thought about it before. It was just normal for Talori. "Yes," she said. "It helps with medical work. I can hold many tools at once." "I can barely hold one thing without dropping it," Do-hyun said with a small laugh. Vela almost smiled. Almost. She finished attaching the patches and stepped back. The monitors came alive with numbers and lines. She looked at the data and tried to understand it. Human biology was different from Talori biology. The numbers looked strange to her. "Is everything okay?" Do-hyun asked. "I think so," Vela said. "But I need to check your file to be sure." She walked to her station and opened his medical file on the screen. It was thin. There was not much information about humans in the Talori medical database. Most of the notes were short and confusing. One note said, "Human body temperature changes often. This is normal." Another note said, Human hearts beat faster than Talori hearts. Do not be alarmed. A third note said, Warning. Human biology contains numerous anomalies. Recommend caution. Vela stared at that last note for a long time. Anomalies. What did that mean? What kind of anomalies? She looked back at Do-hyun. He was lying on the bed with his eyes closed. He looked peaceful, normal, but the file said he was full of anomalies. She decided not to worry too much. He was just one human with a small injury. She would watch him through the night, and in the morning he would leave. It would be easy. She sat down at her station and began her shift. The monitors showed Do-hyun's heart beating, his blood flowing, his temperature holding steady. Everything looked stable. An hour passed, then 2. Do-hyun slept quietly on the bed. His breathing was slow and even. The monitors showed no problems. Vela began to relax. Maybe humans were not so strange after all. Maybe the stories were exaggerated. This human seemed normal, calm, easy to care for. She looked at the time. 6 more hours until morning. She would watch the monitors and take notes. That was all she needed to do. She settled into her chair and let herself feel comfortable. This would be an easy night. She was sure of it. On the bed, Do-hyun shifted a little in his sleep. The monitors beeped once, then went quiet again. Vela glanced at the screen. Everything was fine. She looked back at her notes and began writing her report. Patient arrived with minor injuries. Wound, cleaned, and wrapped. Monitoring begun. Condition stable. She put down her writing tool and looked at Do-hyun one more time. He was sleeping peacefully. His chest rose and fell with each breath. His face was relaxed. Vela nodded to herself. Yes, this would be an easy night. She had no idea how wrong she was. 3 hours into her shift, Vela noticed the first change. She was reading a medical article on her screen when a soft beep came from the monitors. She looked up and checked Do-hyun's data. His body temperature had risen slightly. Not by much, just a small increase. But it was enough to trigger the alert. Vela stood up and walked closer to the screens. She watched the numbers carefully. The temperature was still rising, slowly but steadily. She looked at Do-hyun on the bed. He was still asleep, but he was moving a little. His head turned to one side. His fingers twitched. His legs shifted under the blanket. Vela checked his heart rate next. It was faster than before. Not dangerously fast, but faster. The line on the screen jumped up and down in quick little peaks. Something was happening inside his body. But what? She walked to the bed and looked down at him. His face was not peaceful anymore. His eyes moved under his closed eyelids. His lips moved like he was trying to speak. His breathing was quicker. Was he in pain? Was he having a bad reaction to something? Vela felt her hearts begin to beat faster. She had 2 hearts, like all Talori. When she was scared, both of them raced. She reached out with one of her hands and touched his forehead. It was warm, warmer than before. She pulled her hand back quickly. The monitor beeped again. This time it was showing something new. Blood flow. The screen showed that blood was moving differently in his body. It was rushing toward his lower half, his legs, his pelvic area. Vela stared at the screen. Why was blood going there? Was something wrong with his organs? Was he bleeding inside? She grabbed a handheld scanner and turned it on. She held it over his body and watched the image form on the screen. His organs looked normal. No bleeding. No damage. But the blood flow was definitely concentrating in one area. And then she saw it. Swelling. There was swelling between his legs. The tissue there was expanding, growing, getting larger. Vela dropped the scanner. It hit the floor with a loud clatter. She stepped back from the bed, her forearms pressed against her chest. Her mind raced through possibilities. A tumor? A growth? Some kind of parasitic infection? She had read that Earth had parasites that grew inside bodies. Maybe one had gotten inside him and was now growing at a terrifying speed. She looked at Do-hyun's face. He was still asleep, still dreaming. He did not seem to know that something terrible was happening to his body. She had to do something. She had to help him. But what could she do? She did not understand human biology. She did not know what was normal and what was dangerous. The medical file had said anomalies. Was this one of them? Or was this something that would kill him? She could not take the risk. She had to call for help. Vela ran back to her station and pressed the emergency alert button. A loud alarm filled the room. Red lights flashed on the walls. Within moments, her communicator buzzed. It was Dr. Oren, the senior physician. "Nurse Vela," his voice said through the speaker. "What is the emergency?" "Doctor, please come quickly," Vela said. Her voice was shaking. "The human patient. Something is wrong with him. There is swelling. Internal swelling. I do not know what it is." There was a pause. Then Dr. Oren spoke again. "I am on my way. Do not touch the patient. Monitor him and wait for me." "Yes, doctor." Vela put down the communicator and looked back at Do-hyun. He was still sleeping. The swelling was still there. The monitors were still beeping. She felt helpless. She was a nurse. She was supposed to help people. But she did not know how to help this human. His body was doing something she had never seen before. Something that made no sense. She thought about waking him up. Maybe he would know what was happening. Maybe he could explain. But what if waking him made it worse? What if the swelling was sensitive to movement? She decided to wait for Dr. Oren. He was older and more experienced. He would know what to do. The minutes felt like hours. Vela stood near the door, watching Do-hyun from a distance. The swelling did not go down. The monitors kept beeping. The red lights kept flashing. Finally, the door opened and Dr. Oren walked in. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and sharp eyes. Behind him was Mira, a young medical student who was learning under Dr. Oren's guidance. "Show me," Dr. Oren said. Vela pointed to the monitors and then to Do-hyun on the bed. Dr. Oren walked over and looked at the screens. His eyes moved quickly over the data. Then he looked down at the patient. "Scanner," he said, holding out one hand. Vela picked up the scanner from the floor and gave it to him. Dr. Oren ran it over Do-hyun's body. The image appeared on the small screen. He studied it carefully. Mira leaned in to look. Her eyes went wide. "What is that?" she asked. "I do not know," Dr. Oren said. His voice was calm, but Vela could see that his hands were tight around the scanner. "The tissue is expanding. Blood is flowing into the area at a high rate." "Is it a tumor?" Vela asked. "Tumors do not grow this fast," Dr. Oren said. "Not in any species I know." "A parasite?" Mira suggested. "I read that Earth has parasites that enter bodies and grow inside them. They can reach large sizes." Dr. Oren shook his head slowly. "This does not look like a parasite. The tissue is his own. It is part of his body." "Then what is it?" Vela asked. No one answered. Dr. Oren put down the scanner and looked at Do-hyun's face. The human was still asleep, still dreaming. His eyes moved under his eyelids. His breathing was quick. "We should wake him," Dr. Oren said. "We need to ask him what is happening. If this is dangerous, we need to know now." Vela nodded. That made sense. Dr. Oren reached out and touched Do-hyun's shoulder. "Human," he said. "Wake up." Do-hyun did not respond. Dr. Oren shook him gently. "Human, wake up. We need to speak with you." Do-hyun's eyes opened slowly. He blinked a few times and looked around the room. He saw 3 Talori standing over him with worried faces. He saw the red lights flashing. He heard the alarms. "What?" he said, his voice thick with sleep. "What's going on?" "There is something wrong with your body," Dr. Oren said. "We need you to tell us what is happening." Do-hyun frowned. Wrong? What do you mean? Vela pointed at the monitor screen. There is swelling between your legs. The blood flow is concentrated there. We do not know what it is. Do-hyun looked at the screen. Then he looked down at himself. His face changed. First confusion, then understanding, then embarrassment. His skin turned red, starting at his cheeks and spreading to his neck. "Oh," he said quietly. "That?" Dr. Oren leaned closer. "You know what this is?" Do-hyun rubbed his face with his hand. He looked like he wanted to disappear. "Yeah," he said. "I know what it is." "Is it dangerous?" Vela asked. "Do you need treatment?" Do-hyun shook his head. "No, it's not dangerous. It's normal." The three Talori stared at him. "Normal?" Dr. Oren said. Do-hyun sighed. "Yeah, normal. For humans. For human males, anyway. It happens during sleep sometimes. It's just a thing our bodies do." Vela looked at Mira. Mira looked at Dr. Oren. Dr. Oren looked at Do-hyun. "You are telling me," Dr. Oren said slowly, "that this swelling is normal?" "Yes," Do-hyun said. His face was still red. "I'm sorry. I should have warned you. I didn't think about it." Vela felt her legs go weak. She had called an emergency alert. She had panicked. She had thought the human was dying. And it was normal. She did not know whether to feel relieved or embarrassed. Maybe both. Dr. Oren did not move for a long moment. He stood beside Do-hyun's bed with the scanner in his hand and a look on his face that Vela had never seen before. It was not anger. It was not relief. It was something closer to complete confusion. "Normal," Dr. Oren repeated. The word sounded strange coming from his mouth, like he did not believe it. "Yes," Do-hyun said again. He was sitting up now, looking at the three Talori with apologetic eyes. "I really am sorry. I didn't mean to scare anyone." Mira stepped forward. She was young and curious, and she did not seem embarrassed to ask questions. "But why?" she asked. "Why does your body do this?" Do-hyun rubbed the back of his neck. "It's complicated. It has to do with blood flow during sleep. When humans sleep, our bodies go through different stages. During some stages, blood moves to certain areas. It's automatic. We don't control it." "You do not control your own blood flow?" Vela asked. "Not this kind, no. It just happens." Dr. Oren finally put down the scanner. He looked at the monitors again and then back at Do-hyun. "In Talori bodies, blood flow is stable during sleep. It does not move to different areas. Our bodies become quiet, almost still." Do-hyun nodded. "Human bodies don't work that way. We're always doing something even when we sleep. Our brains are active. Our muscles twitch. Our hearts speed up and slow down. We dream." "Dream?" Mira asked. "Yes. When humans sleep, our minds create images and stories. We see things that are not real. Sometimes we think we are in different places or doing different things. It feels real while it's happening." Vela had never heard of this before. Talori did not dream. When they slept, their minds were empty and dark. They woke up with no memory of the time that passed. "And these dreams," Dr. Oren said, "they cause the blood flow changes?" "Sometimes," Do-hyun said. "Not always, but they can. It depends on the dream." Dr. Oren turned to Vela. "Cancel the emergency alert." Vela hurried to her station and pressed the button. The alarms stopped. The red lights turned off. The room became quiet again. Dr. Oren pulled up a chair and sat down next to Do-hyun's bed. He looked at the human with steady eyes. "I need to understand this better," he said. "You say this swelling is normal. Does it happen every time you sleep?" "Not every time," Do-hyun said, "but often, especially during deep sleep." "Does it cause pain?" "No." "Does it affect your health in any way?" "No." "It goes away on its own after a while." Dr. Oren nodded slowly. He was writing notes in his mind, Vela could tell. He always did that when he was learning something new. How long does it last? Mira asked. It varies. Sometimes a few minutes, sometimes longer. It depends. Depends on what? Do-hyun's face turned red again. Just depends. Different factors. Mira opened her mouth to ask another question, but Dr. Oren raised one hand to stop her. That is enough for now, he said. We understand the basic situation. Vela felt her body relax a little. The crisis was over. The human was not dying. He was not infected. He was just being human. But she still had questions. Why did we not know about this? She asked. Why was it not in your medical file? Do-hyun shrugged. I don't know. Maybe whoever wrote the file didn't think it was important. Or maybe they were embarrassed to include it. Humans don't usually talk about this stuff with other species. That is a problem, Dr. Oren said. Medical files should contain all relevant information. Without complete data, we cannot provide proper care. I agree, Do-hyun said. I should have said something when I arrived. I didn't think about it. It's so normal for me that I forget other species might not know. There was silence in the room for a moment. Vela looked at Mira. Mira looked at Dr. Oren. They were all thinking the same thing. What else did they not know about humans? Dr. Oren stood up from his chair. I am going to update your file, he said. I will add this information so future medical staff will be prepared. Is there anything else we should know about? Do-hyun thought for a moment. Well, there are a lot of things human bodies do. I don't know what's normal for Talori, so I don't know what would surprise you. Tell us some things, Mira said eagerly. I want to learn. Do-hyun looked at her curious face and smiled a little. Okay, let me think. Well, humans sweat. Sweat? Vela asked. Yes. When we get hot, our bodies push water out through our skin. It covers us and helps us cool down. Vela felt her stomach twist. You leak water from your skin? Yes, it's normal. It keeps us from overheating. Mira made a face. That sounds unpleasant. It can be, Do-hyun admitted, but it keeps us alive in hot places. Dr. Oren was writing on a tablet now. What else? We shiver when we're cold. Our muscles shake to create heat. Your muscles shake automatically? Vela asked. Yes, we can't stop it. What else? Mira asked. Our hair stands up when we're scared or cold. Little bumps appear on our skin. Why? I don't know exactly. Something about our ancestors. It probably helped them look bigger to predators. Dr. Oren kept writing. His face was serious, but Vela could see his eyes getting wider with each new fact. Anything else? Dr. Oren asked. Do-hyun laughed softly. There's a lot more. Human bodies are always doing something. We cough, sneeze, yawn, hiccup, cry, blush, get goosebumps, feel dizzy, get hungry, get tired, get sore, heal from injuries, fight off infections. We never stop. Vela stared at him. It sounded exhausting. It sounded chaotic. It sounded like human bodies were at war with themselves every single moment. How do you live like that? She asked. Do-hyun looked at her with calm eyes. We're used to it, he said. It's all we know. Our bodies have been doing this for millions of years. It helped us survive on Earth. What was Earth like? Mira asked. Why did your bodies need to do so much? Do-hyun's smile faded a little. His eyes became serious. Earth was dangerous, he said. Very dangerous. Everything on that planet wanted to kill us. Predators, diseases, weather, other humans. We had to adapt to everything. Our bodies learned to react fast and change fast. That's why we're like this. Dr. Oren stopped writing. He looked at Do-hyun with new eyes. You are not weak, he said quietly. I thought humans were fragile, but you are not. Do-hyun shook his head. We're not fragile. We're just different. Our strength is not in thick skin or big muscles. Our strength is in adaptation. We can survive almost anything because our bodies never stop trying to keep us alive. The room was quiet. Vela felt something change in the air. She had been afraid of this human when he arrived. She had thought he was strange and confusing, but now she understood something important. Humans were not weak. They were survivors. And maybe, just maybe, they were stronger than anyone realized. Dr. Oren put his tablet away and stood up straight. "I will complete your file tonight," he said. "Tomorrow, other staff members may have questions for you. If you are willing to answer them, it would help us learn." Do-hyun nodded. "I'll answer what I can." "Good." Dr. Oren turned to leave, then stopped. He looked back at Do-hyun one more time. "Thank you," he said, "for explaining." Do-hyun smiled. "Thank you for not cutting me open." Dr. Oren did not smile, but his eyes softened a little. Then he walked out of the room with Mira behind him. Vela stayed behind. She looked at Do-hyun and felt embarrassed about the panic she had caused. "I'm sorry," she said. "For the emergency alert, I thought you were dying." Do-hyun shook his head. "Don't apologize. You were trying to help. That's your job." Vela nodded, but she still felt foolish. "Get some rest," she said. "Morning is not far away." Do-hyun lay back on the bed. "I'll try, but I can't promise my body will behave." Vela almost smiled. Almost. Morning came slowly. Vela stayed at her station through the rest of the night, watching Do-hyun sleep. She did not panic again. The monitors beeped sometimes, showing changes in his body. His temperature went up and down. His heart rate sped up and slowed down. But she did not call for help. She just watched and took notes. Human bodies were busy. She understood that now. When the first light of the station's artificial day came through the windows, Do-hyun opened his eyes. He looked around the room and then at Vela. "Good morning," he said. "Good morning," Vela replied. "How do you feel?" "Good. Rested." He sat up and stretched his arms. His joints made small popping sounds that made Vela jump. "What was that?" she asked. Do-hyun looked at his arms. "What was what?" "The sound. From your arms." "Oh, that's just my joints. They pop sometimes when I stretch. It doesn't hurt." Vela wrote this down in her notes. Another strange human thing. The door opened and Dr. Oren walked in. Behind him was Mira, and behind her were two other Talori nurses that Vela knew. Their names were Sona and Pelik. They worked in other parts of the station. "Good morning," Dr. Oren said to Do-hyun. "I hope you slept well." "I did," Do-hyun said. "After all the excitement, anyway." Dr. Oren nodded. "I have completed your medical file. It is much more detailed now, but my colleagues have requested to speak with you before you leave. They have questions about human biology. Would you be willing to answer them?" Do-hyun looked at the four Talori, watching him with curious eyes. He smiled a little. "Sure," he said. "What do you want to know?" The questions came quickly. Sona spoke first. She was older than Vela, with dark blue skin and a serious face. "Last night you told Dr. Oren that humans sweat. You said water comes out of your skin. How much water?" "It depends," Do-hyun said. "If I'm exercising hard or if it's very hot, I can sweat a lot, enough to make my clothes wet." Sona's face showed disgust. "And you just walk around like that? Wet?" "Sometimes. We dry off eventually, or we change clothes." "That is very strange," Sona said. Pelik spoke next. He was young and nervous with light green skin. "I read that humans eat other animals. Is that true?" "Yes," Do-hyun said. "We eat plants and animals. We're omnivores. Does it not bother you, eating something that was alive?" Do-hyun thought about this. "I guess we're used to it. Humans have been hunting and eating animals for a very long time. It's part of our history." "Talori only eat plants," Pelik said. The idea of eating an animal is difficult for us. I understand, Do-hyun said. Different species. Different ways? Mira raised her hand like a student in class. You said human bodies fight off infections. How do they do that? We have an immune system, Do-hyun explained. It's like an army inside our bodies. When something dangerous gets in, like a virus or bacteria, our immune system attacks it. We get fevers, which means our body temperature rises. The heat helps kill the invaders. Your body makes itself hotter on purpose? Vela asked. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but it helps us heal. Dr. Oren was writing everything down. His tablet was filling up with notes. Tell us about adrenaline, he said. I have read about it, but do not fully understand. Do-hyun nodded. Adrenaline is a chemical our bodies make when we're scared or excited. It makes us faster and stronger for a short time. Our hearts beat faster. Our muscles get more blood. Our minds become sharper. It helps us fight or run away from danger. You can make yourselves stronger with a chemical? Sona asked. For a short time, yes. It doesn't last long. And afterward we feel tired. But in the moment it can save our lives. The Talori looked at each other. Vela could see they were all thinking the same thing. Humans had so many systems inside them, so many ways to survive. This is why humans survived on Earth, Dr. Oren said. Your bodies have many tools for many situations. That's right, Do-hyun said. Earth was not a kind planet. We had to be ready for anything. Tell us about Earth, Mira said. What made it so dangerous? Do-hyun leaned back against his pillow. His eyes looked far away, like he was remembering something. Earth had everything, he said. Predators that could run faster than us, swim faster than us, fly above us, diseases that could kill millions of people, weather that could destroy cities, mountains that shot fire, ground that shook and swallowed buildings, oceans that rose up and flooded the land. The Talori were silent. We did not have thick skin or sharp claws or poison. We were small and soft and weak compared to most animals. But we survived because we could adapt, we could think, we could work together, and our bodies learned to react to everything, to keep us alive no matter what. Dr. Oren put down his tablet. He looked at Do-hyun with respect in his eyes. I have treated many species, he said. I have never heard of a homeworld as dangerous as yours. Most species come from peaceful planets, safe environments. They did not need to develop the way you did. Do-hyun smiled, but there was something sad in it. Yeah, Earth was tough, but it made us who we are. Vela felt something shift inside her. She had been afraid of this human yesterday. She had thought he was strange and unpredictable, but now she realized that he was not strange at all. He was exactly what his planet had made him, a survivor. Sona spoke again, her voice softer now. Is it difficult, having a body that does so much without your control? Do-hyun laughed quietly. Sometimes I wish my body would just be quiet and let me rest. But I'm used to it. It's all I've ever known. Do humans ever wish they were different? Mira asked. That they had bodies like other species? Do-hyun thought about this. Maybe some do, but I don't. My body has kept me alive through a lot of hard things. I might not control all of it, but I trust it. It knows what to do. The room was quiet. Vela looked at the other Talori and saw that they all felt the same thing. Respect, curiosity, maybe a little fear. Humans were not weak. They were not simple. They were complex and powerful and full of systems that worked together to keep them alive. They were survivors of a world that tried to kill them every single day, and they had made it to the stars. Dr. Oren stood up straight. Thank you, he said to Do-hyun. This has been very educational. I will share this information with the rest of the staff. We will be better prepared to treat humans in the future. Do-hyun nodded. I'm glad I could help, even if it started with a false alarm. Vela felt her face get warm. Embarrassment. Another thing Talori bodies did that they could not control. Maybe they were not so different from humans after all. I will prepare your discharge papers, Dr. Oren said. You should be able to leave within the hour. Thank you, Do-hyun said. I appreciate everything you've done. Dr. Oren left the room with Sona and Pelik. Mira stayed behind for a moment. She looked at Do-hyun with bright eyes. I want to study humans more, she said. I think there is so much more to learn. Do-hyun smiled. There is. We're full of surprises. Mira smiled back and then hurried after Dr. Oren. Vela was alone with Do-hyun again. She looked at him and felt like she was seeing him for the first time, not as a strange alien, not as a confusing patient, but as a person, a survivor, a human. Thank you, she said, for being patient with us. Thank you for not cutting me open, Do-hyun said again. This time, Vela smiled. For real. Word spread fast on the medical station. By midday, everyone knew about the human patient. They knew about the emergency alert. They knew about the swelling that was not an emergency at all. And they knew about the things Do-hyun had told the medical staff. Humans sweated water through their skin. Humans made themselves hotter to fight disease. Humans had chemicals that made them stronger when they were scared. Humans came from a planet that tried to kill them every day. The stories moved from room to room, from nurse to nurse, from doctor to doctor. By the time Do-hyun finished eating his lunch, there was a line of Talori waiting outside his room. Vela stood by the door and watched them. Nurses from other floors, doctors from other departments, even some maintenance workers who just wanted to see the human for themselves. This is getting out of hand, she said quietly. Do-hyun looked at the crowd through the window. He did not look upset. He looked amused. It's okay, he said. I don't mind. If they have questions, I'll answer them. Vela opened the door and let the first group in. 3 nurses from the emergency department. They stood near Do-hyun's bed and looked at him like he was a creature in a display. Is it true your body leaks water? One of them asked. Yes, Do-hyun said. We call it sweating. Is it true you eat animals? Yes. Is it true your planet has mountains that explode? Yes. We call them volcanoes. The nurses whispered to each other. Then they thanked Do-hyun and left. The next group came in, 2 doctors this time. We heard that humans can increase their strength with a chemical, one doctor said. Is this true? Yes, it's called adrenaline. How much stronger do you become? It depends. In extreme situations, humans have been known to lift very heavy objects. Things they could never lift normally. We call it hysterical strength. The doctors looked at each other with wide eyes. They wrote something on their tablets and left. More visitors came. More questions. Vela stood by the door and listened to all of it. One nurse asked about human bones. Do-hyun explained that human bones could break, but would heal themselves over time. The nurse was shocked. Talori bones did not heal. If a Talori broke a bone, it had to be replaced with metal. Another nurse asked about human blood. Do-hyun explained that human blood carried oxygen all through the body, and that humans would die if they lost too much. The nurse asked how much was too much. Do-hyun said humans could lose about 40% of their blood before it became fatal. The nurse's face went pale. A doctor asked about human sleep. Do-hyun explained that humans needed to sleep every day, or they would get sick and eventually die. He explained that humans dreamed during sleep, seeing images and stories in their minds. The doctor had never heard of anything like this. She asked if the dreams were real. Do-hyun said no, but they felt real while they were happening. A maintenance worker asked about human skin. Du Hyun explained that human skin was thin but healed quickly. He showed them the cut on his forehead, which was now almost invisible. The worker touched his own thick Talori skin and shook his head in wonder. By the time the last visitor left, Do Hyun looked tired. Not in a bad way, just in a normal way. The way anyone would look after talking for hours. Vela brought him a glass of water. "I'm sorry," she said. "I did not think so many people would come." "It's fine," Do Hyun said. He drank the water in a few big swallows. "I understand why they're curious. We're strange to them." "You are not strange," Vela said. Then she stopped. "Well, you are, but not in a bad way." Do Hyun laughed. "I know what you mean." Vela sat down in the chair next to his bed. She had been standing all day and her legs were tired. She had 4 legs, like all Talori, but they still got tired like anyone else's. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Of course." "Are you ever afraid?" "Of your own body, I mean. Of all the things it does without your control." Do Hyun thought about this for a moment. "Sometimes," he said. "When I was young, I was afraid of getting sick. I was afraid my body would fail me. But I learned to trust it over time. It knows what to do, even when I don't." "That sounds peaceful," Vela said. "Sometimes it is. Sometimes it isn't. But it's all I have, so I work with it." Vela nodded. She understood this. She had her own body, her own limits, her own fears. Everyone did. "Do you miss Earth?" she asked. Do Hyun's smile faded a little. He looked out the window at the stars. "Yes," he said quietly. "I miss it. It was dangerous and hard, but it was home. Nothing else feels quite the same." "Why did you leave?" "I wanted to see what was out here, what else existed beyond my planet. And I wanted to help build connections between humans and other species. We have a lot to learn from each other." Vela thought about this. She had learned more from this one human than she had from years of medical training. Maybe he was right. Maybe there was value in sharing knowledge across species. "I think we have learned a lot from you," she said. "I know I have." Do Hyun looked at her and smiled. "And I've learned from you. I didn't know Talori had 2 hearts until last night. Or that you have 4 arms. Or that you don't dream when you sleep." "We don't dream," Vela confirmed. "Our minds are empty when we sleep. I cannot imagine what it is like to see things that are not there." "Sometimes it's wonderful," Do Hyun said. "Sometimes it's terrible. But it's always interesting." Vela wanted to ask more, but the door opened. Dr. Oren walked in with a tablet in his hand. "Your discharge papers are ready," he said to Do Hyun. "You are free to leave whenever you wish." Do Hyun swung his legs over the side of the bed. "Thank you, Doctor. I appreciate your care." Dr. Oren nodded. Then he looked at his tablet and back at Do Hyun. "I have also completed a report on human biology. I will be sending it to all Talori medical stations in this sector. I have recommended that all medical staff receive updated training on humans." Do Hyun's eyebrows went up. "Really?" "Yes. We were not prepared for you. That was a failure on our part. Future humans who come to our stations should receive better care." Do Hyun stood up and faced Dr. Oren. "That means a lot. Thank you." "Do not thank me. Thank Nurse Vela. If she had not called the alert last night, I would not have come. I would not have learned what I learned. I would not have written this report." Vela felt her face get warm again. Embarrassment and pride mixed together. "I thought he was dying," she said quietly. "You were wrong," Dr. Oren said. "But you were trying to help. That is what matters." Do Hyun looked at Vela and nodded. She's a good nurse. Vela did not know what to say, so she said nothing. Dr. Oren put the tablet away. "I will leave you to prepare for departure. Safe travels, human." "Thank you, Doctor." Dr. Oren left. Vela and Do-hyun were alone again. "I should get my things," Do-hyun said. He started gathering his belongings from the small table beside the bed. His jacket, his communicator, a small bag with personal items. Vela watched him pack. She felt sad suddenly. She had known this human for less than one day, but she felt like she had learned something important from him. Something about strength, something about survival, something about trust. "Nurse Vela," Do-hyun said. She looked up. "Yes? Thank you for taking care of me, and for not giving up when things got confusing." Vela stood up straight. "It is my job," she said. "It's more than that," Do-hyun said. "You care, I could tell." Vela did not know what to say again, so again she said nothing. Do-hyun finished packing and put his bag over his shoulder. "I hope we meet again someday," he said, "under better circumstances." "I hope so too," Vela said, and she meant it. Do-hyun was almost at the door when Dr. Oren appeared again. The old doctor stood in the hallway with his hands clasped behind his back. He did not look like he was in a hurry. He looked like he had something to say. "Human," Dr. Oren said, "before you leave, may I speak with you? In private?" Do-hyun looked at Vela, then back at Dr. Oren. "Of course." Vela understood. She nodded and stepped out of the room, closing the door behind her. She stood in the hallway and waited. Through the window, she could see Dr. Oren and Do-hyun talking. She could not hear the words, but she could see their faces, both serious, both thoughtful. Inside the room, Dr. Oren sat down in the chair that Vela had used. He looked at Do-hyun with steady eyes. "I owe you an apology," Dr. Oren said. Do-hyun frowned. "For what?" "For my ignorance, and for the ignorance of this station." Dr. Oren paused. His fingers tapped against his knee. "When you arrived, I looked at your file. I saw the words, 'numerous anomalies,' and I thought you were fragile, unstable. I thought humans were weak creatures who needed careful handling." Do-hyun said nothing. He waited. "I was wrong," Dr. Oren continued. "You are not weak. You are not fragile. You are something else entirely." "What do you mean?" Dr. Oren leaned forward. "I have been a doctor for 40 years. I have treated hundreds of species. Some are strong, some are fast, some are smart. But I have never met a species like yours. What makes us different? You never stop." Dr. Oren's voice was quiet but intense. "Your bodies never stop working. Your minds never stop thinking. You adapt to everything. Heat, cold, pain, fear, sickness, injury. Your bodies have an answer for everything." Do-hyun shrugged. "We had to. Our planet didn't give us a choice." "Exactly." Dr. Oren nodded. "That is what makes you remarkable. Other species evolved on kind planets, safe planets. They developed one way to survive and stayed that way. But humans developed many ways. You are not specialists. You are generalists. You can survive anywhere." Do-hyun smiled a little. "I never thought about it that way." "Most species don't think about it at all," Dr. Oren said. "They see humans and think you are soft, weak, easy to hurt. They do not understand that your softness is part of your strength. You can be hurt, yes, but you heal, you adapt, you keep going." The room was quiet for a moment. Do-hyun looked at the old doctor and felt something warm in his chest. Respect, gratitude, understanding. "Can I ask you something?" Do-hyun said. "Yes." "Why did Talori fear humans? Before, I mean." "Before you understood us better?" Dr. Oren sat back in his chair. He was quiet for a long moment, thinking. "Because you are unpredictable," he said finally. "Talori value stability, order, control. Our bodies do what we expect them to do. Our society works the same way. Everything has a place. Everything follows rules. And humans don't follow rules? Humans break rules. Not out of disrespect, but because you do not see rules the same way we do. You see problems, and you find solutions, even if those solutions go against tradition, even if they seem impossible. Do-hyun nodded slowly. I understand. I think that is why many species fear humans, Dr. Oren continued. Not because you are dangerous, but because you are unknown. We cannot predict what you will do. We cannot control what your bodies will do. And that is frightening. Is it still frightening to you? Dr. Oren thought about this. No, he said. Not anymore. Now I am curious. I want to understand humans better. I want to know why you are the way you are. I want to learn. Do-hyun smiled. That's all we can ask. Understanding takes time. Yes, it does. Dr. Oren stood up. He looked at Do-hyun with something like warmth in his eyes. Thank you for coming to our station, human. You have taught us more in one night than we have learned in years. Do-hyun stood up too. Thank you for listening. Most species don't. They stood facing each other for a moment. Two beings from different worlds, different bodies, different ways of living, but both trying to understand. Dr. Oren reached into his pocket and pulled out something small. It was a metal disc with a symbol etched into it, the symbol of the Talori Medical Service. This is a token, Dr. Oren said. We give it to patients who teach us something valuable. It is a sign of respect. Do-hyun took the disc and looked at it. It was heavy in his hand. The symbol was simple but elegant. Thank you, he said. I will keep it. Dr. Oren nodded. If you ever need medical care in Talori space, show that token. Any doctor who sees it will know you are someone worth knowing. Do-hyun put the disc in his pocket. I appreciate this. More than I can say. Safe travels, human. Dr. Oren held out his hand. It was a human gesture. He had learned it just for this moment. Do-hyun shook his hand. The Talori's grip was gentle, careful, but it was sincere. Safe travels, Doctor. Dr. Oren released his hand and walked to the door. He opened it and stepped into the hallway. Vela was waiting there, standing straight and professional. Nurse Vela, Dr. Oren said, please escort the human to the docking bay. Yes, Doctor. Dr. Oren looked at Do-hyun one more time. Then he turned and walked away, his footsteps echoing down the quiet hallway. Vela stepped into the room. Are you ready? She asked. Do-hyun picked up his bag and nodded. Ready. They walked together through the station. The hallways were clean and bright, filled with the soft hum of machines and the quiet footsteps of Talori going about their work. Some of them looked at Do-hyun as he passed. Some nodded. Some whispered to each other. Vela noticed the looks but said nothing. She walked beside Do-hyun in comfortable silence. After a while, Do-hyun spoke. Dr. Oren gave me a token. Vela looked at him. He did? Yes. He said it's for patients who teach the staff something valuable. Vela's eyes went wide. That token is very rare. Dr. Oren has only given it to 3 patients in 40 years. Really? Yes. It is a great honor. Do-hyun touched his pocket where the disc was resting. He had not realized it was so special. I didn't do much, he said. I just answered questions. You did more than that, Vela said. You helped us understand. You were patient and kind. You did not get angry when we made mistakes. You treated us with respect. Do-hyun looked at her. You treated me with respect, too. Even when you were scared. Vela felt her face get warm again. I tried. You succeeded. They reached the docking bay. Do-hyun's ship was waiting there, a small cargo vessel with worn paint and scratched windows. It was not beautiful, but it looked solid, reliable. Do-hyun stopped at the door and turned to face Vela. Thank you, he said, for everything. Vela nodded. Thank you, for being patient with us, for helping us learn. Do-hyun smiled. We're all learning. Every species, every day, that's how we grow. Vela did not know what to say, so she did something she had never done before. She held out her hand just like Dr. Oren had done. Do-hyun looked at her hand. Then he smiled wider and took it. His grip was warm and firm. "Goodbye, Nurse Vela." "Goodbye, Do-hyun." They shook hands once. Then Do-hyun released her hand and walked toward his ship. The door opened and he stepped inside. He turned back one more time and waved. Vela waved back. The door closed. The ship began to hum. Vela stepped back as the engines powered up. She watched the ship lift off the floor and turn toward the exit. The docking bay doors opened, revealing the stars beyond. The ship moved forward, slowly at first, then faster. And then it was gone. Vela stood alone in the docking bay. The doors closed. The room became quiet. She looked at her hand, the one that had shaken Do-hyun's hand. It still felt warm. She smiled. Then she turned and walked back to the medical bay. There was work to do. Do-hyun's ship moved through the darkness of space. He sat in the pilot's chair and watched the stars slide past his window. The medical station grew smaller behind him until it was just a dot of light among millions of others. Then it was gone. He leaned back and let out a long breath. What a strange visit that had been. He had come in with a hurt arm and left as some kind of teacher. He had not expected that. His hand went to his pocket and touched the metal disc Dr. Oren had given him. It was still there, heavy and cool against his fingers. A token of respect. He still was not sure he deserved it. All he had done was answer questions about his own body. Things that were normal to him. Things he had never thought about before. But to the Talori, those things were extraordinary. His sweat, his dreams, his adrenaline, his healing, his temperature changes. All of it was strange and new to them. They had never seen a species like his before. Do-hyun smiled to himself. Humans spent so much time trying to be like other species, trying to fit in, trying to be calm and controlled and predictable. But maybe that was wrong. Maybe humans were valuable exactly because they were different. His communicator beeped. A message was coming in. He pressed the button and read the text on the screen. It was from the Talori Medical Station. From Dr. Oren. Human biology report has been distributed to all medical stations in this sector. Training updates will begin next month. Thank you for your contribution. Do-hyun read the message twice. Then he laughed softly. He had helped change how an entire species understood humans, all because he fell asleep in a hospital bed. Life was strange sometimes. Another message came in, then another, then 5 more. They were all from different medical stations across the sector. Requests for more information about humans. Questions about specific biological functions. Invitations to speak to medical staff. Do-hyun stared at the messages and shook his head. He was a cargo pilot, not a teacher. He delivered boxes from one place to another. He did not give lectures about human biology, but maybe he could help in small ways, answer a few questions here and there, share what he knew. After all, that was how understanding happened, one conversation at a time. He typed a quick reply to Dr. Oren. "Happy to help. Let me know if you need anything else." Then he closed the messages and looked at the stars again. He thought about Nurse Vela. She had been so scared when he first arrived, her 4 hands shaking, her eyes wide with worry. But she had stayed calm. She had done her job. She had tried to help him even though she did not understand him, and by the end, she had understood him better. Maybe not completely, maybe not perfectly, but better. That was enough. He thought about Dr. Oren, the old doctor who had been so serious and so careful, who had assumed humans were fragile and weak, but who had listened when Do-hyun explained, who had learned and changed his mind, who had written a report that would help thousands of humans in the future. That was respect, real respect, the kind that came from listening and learning, not from fear or power. Du Hyun hoped more species would be like that. Open, curious, willing to admit when they were wrong. The galaxy would be a better place if everyone tried to understand each other. His ship beeped again. He looked at the navigation screen. He was approaching a trade station. His next delivery was waiting. He set the autopilot and stood up from his chair. His arm still hurt a little where the cargo box had hit it. But it would heal. Human bodies always healed. That was what they did. He walked to the back of the ship and looked at his cargo. Boxes of machine parts heading to a mining colony. Nothing special, nothing exciting, just another job. But it felt different now. He felt different. Like something had shifted inside him. He had always known he was human. He had always known human bodies were different from other species. But he had never thought about it deeply. He had never realized how much those differences mattered. Now he understood. Humans were survivors, fighters, adapters. They came from a planet that tried to kill them every day, and they had made it to the stars anyway. That meant something. That was worth being proud of. He went back to the pilot's chair and sat down. The trade station was getting closer. Soon he would dock, unload his cargo, pick up a new shipment, and move on to the next place. The same routine he had followed for years, but he would carry something new with him now. A token of respect in his pocket, messages from curious doctors on his communicator, and a memory of a Talori nurse who had tried to save his life because she thought he was dying. He smiled at that memory. Poor Nurse Vela. She had been so frightened, so confused. But she had not given up. She had called for help and done everything she could. That was what mattered. Not whether you understood everything perfectly, but whether you tried, whether you cared, whether you kept going even when things were hard. Humans knew about that. They had been doing it for millions of years. The trade station filled his window. He began the docking procedure, his hands moving over the controls with practiced ease. The ship slowed and turned and lined up with the docking bay. His communicator beeped one more time. Another message from the medical station. From Nurse Vela. He opened it and read, "Thank you for teaching us. I will update your file so other nurses know what to expect. I hope your arm heals quickly. Safe travels, human." Do-hyun read the message 3 times. Then he typed a reply. "Thank you for taking care of me. My arm is already feeling better. Human bodies heal fast. Safe travels, Nurse Vela. I hope we meet again." He sent the message and put the communicator down. The ship docked with a soft thump. The engines went quiet. The work was about to begin again. Do-hyun stood up and stretched. His joints popped. His muscles loosened. His body prepared itself for what came next. He picked up his jacket and put it on. He checked his pocket one more time. The token was still there. He walked to the door of his ship and opened it. The trade station was loud and busy and full of people from a dozen different species. They moved around each other, talking and working and living their lives. Do-hyun stepped out into the crowd. He was just one human among many beings. Soft skin, 2 arms, a body that never stopped doing strange and unpredictable things. But that was okay. That was what made him human. He walked forward into the noise and the light, ready for whatever came next. Behind him, far away in the quiet darkness of space, Nurse Vela stood in the medical bay and looked out the window. She watched the stars and thought about the human who had come and gone so quickly. "Humans really are full of surprises," she said quietly. "I wonder what else they can do." Then she turned and walked back to her station. There was work to do, and maybe someday another human would come, and she would be ready.